Story 1. Am I the asshole for not leaving my estate to my severely disabled brother? I, 33F, received a terminal diagnosis earlier this year. I've got a couple of years at best estimate to get everything in order before I won't have the cognitive ability to do so anymore. I've been working with a lawyer and an end-of-life care social worker to make sure everything will go as smoothly as possible, and my wishes will be respected. I also have a complicated family situation. My parents were never married, and my dad died when I was 12 of the same condition I now have. He never married, so all his assets were put in a trust for me by my grandparents. My mom married after they broke up and had my half-brother, 26M. He is severely mentally disabled. He's a 7-year-old in a grown man's body, and even with all the resources they can get, he's very difficult to care for, and my mom and stepdad barely get by most of the time. They tried really hard to get legal control of my trust when I was living with them, but couldn't. I help out some when things are really hard, but I feel like my mom treats me like an emergency fund rather than her daughter, and my stepdad has been bitter about the financial stuff. My dad was very successful, and his family is well off, since even before my dad died. I don't talk to either of them about my life because they always get passive-aggressive and guilt-trippy. I've been trying to talk more with my mom now that I know I'm on borrowed time. We've never had a great relationship, but I wanted to try and resolve some of it. She's been much nicer to me and more concerned since the diagnosis, so I thought it was okay to open up a bit. I didn't want her to be blindsided or feel like she has to take on anything since I've appointed another family member to be my medical and financial POA, so I talked to her recently about my plans. I told her that I know my half-brother is a full-time job, so I'm having other people take care of my care so she won't be burdened. She was thankful for that, but then brought up how she always hoped that I would be the one to make sure my brother was taken care of when she was gone, and that in a way I still would be. She would put whatever I leave behind into his care fund and would make sure he knows it's from his big sister. This is where I might be the AH. I'm not leaving anything to my mom or brother. I don't have kids, but I have been the favorite auntie to my best friend's 2 children for their entire lives. They are the light of my life, and I spend a lot of time with them. My BFF and I have been through a lot together. She and her husband have been the ones going with me to appointments and letting me crash in their spare room when I was too sick from meds to be home alone. Whatever is left over after I'm gone is going to the kids for college. I know it's money that could secure better care for my half-brother and take some of the load off my mom, but I feel like I want to help someone else now. So, am I the asshole?
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 2. Aita for telling my mom she was an unwanted guest? My wife has had a stressful time at work and was looking forward to a vacation at her grandparents' cabin. She brought a few books she wanted to read, and I brought my fishing rod. She had no plans to entertain. My dad stopped by to go fishing. It was supposed to be just my dad stopping by for the day, but somehow my mom inserted herself, and I was shocked to see her. My wife had no plans to entertain her. I told my mom that. My mom bought stuff for lunch and dinner and tried to engage my wife into making dinner for us all, and my wife said no. She's relaxing and reading. If my mom wanted to cook, that's my mom's prerogative. My dad and I get back late, and at the table my mom started to complain how she did this all herself. I looked at my wife, who just took her plate and ate in her room. My mom started to complain to me about it, and I told my mom she technically wasn't invited, and my wife had no expectations to entertain her in my wife's cabin while my wife is on vacation. My mom started saying, well, she wouldn't have came if she knew that. I told my mom next time, take the hint. If you aren't invited, don't come. My parents left after dinner. My mom complained that my wife should have tried to be a gracious hostess, and I said maybe my mom should try not being an unwanted guest. Am I the asshole? I do not think he is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 3. Ada for walking out of my son's kindergarten play because my wife wouldn't shut up. Today, my 32M son's 5M kindergarten had a little play. It was a short story involving a bunch of bunnies, giraffes, and sheep. My son Kevin was one of the giraffes. I was looking forward to it all week, but I was also anxious because my wife, Claire 31F, tends to get very bad when we're in front of other people. She'll often become aggressive, short-tempered, and will be incredibly rude towards me. I think she does it performatively because she thinks it makes her look cool. Anyway, Claire and I arrived early to get front row seats in their small auditorium. First, as we waited, Claire began by putting her bag and other belongings on the 2 seats next to her. I had to get her to put them under her chair because other people might want to sit there. She accosted me because, of course I know that, I was going to move them when it got crowded. Then she began setting up a camera on a tripod on top of the seat, which would have obstructed the view of anyone else behind us. Luckily, one of the teachers there asked her nicely to take it down. Unfortunately, this put Claire in a foul mood, and I knew she would be taking it out on me eventually. The performance started, and our son did a great job. But he had a little giraffe hat on with a... Finally, when I was pretty sure Kevin's part in the play was done, I stood up and walked out. I waited in the car. Claire and Kevin came out about 20 minutes later. She opened the door and immediately began tearing into her about abandoning her and Kevin. When I responded that she was embarrassing me, she began sulking and ranting about how she's such an embarrassment to her family. Claire would simply not shut up about this. As all the parents took videos, she was constantly saying things like, "I told him not to chew on it," and "Kevin, take the cord out of your mouth." I could tell other parents were getting irritated with her because her voice was getting on their video of their children. I lightly suggested in a whisper, "Hey, other people are taking videos. I don't think Kevin can hear you anyway." Claire did not take this well. She began loudly ranting to herself. She would repeat things like, "God, I want him to shut the fuck up," and mock my voice with, "Kevin can't hear you." Over time, she gradually got louder and louder. I don't know what I could have done better. Should I have handled this differently? Comment below your thoughts.
Story 4. Aita for ruining at a family dinner because of my golden child sister. I, F17, have a younger sister, Emily, F16. Even though they don't say it explicitly, Emily is clearly my parents' favorite child. I can understand why they're proud of Emily. She is a straight A student, has the lead roles in student theater, swims competitively, is popular at school, and very, very good looking. I, on the other hand, am probably more plain. I work hard at school, but am not as outgoing or intelligent as Emily, and don't excel at any extracurriculars like she does. My parents always celebrate Emily. We have certificates of her work on the fridge, always have outings and meals to commemorate her achievements, and attend all her swim events and plays. I know my parents love me, but I don't get close to the level of attention, even when I work hard. The other night, we went out with my parents, uncle, aunt, and cousins. We'd just been to one of Emily's shows, and she recently got accepted onto a summer scheme she was wanting to complete. The whole meal revolved around discussing Emily and how proud everyone was of her accomplishments. I don't think I was mentioned once. I'm usually more reserved or just bite my tongue, but midway through the meal, I shouted out, "Maybe if you paid more attention to me and not just your golden child, you'd have more things to celebrate." Everyone just went silent, and my mom said we'd discuss this when we got home and not to ruin the meal. Emily looked shocked and close to crying. To say the rest of the meal was awkward would be putting it lightly. When we got home, my parents shouted at me for embarrassing them and said that Emily deserves to be celebrated and that if I did something that merited celebration, I would receive the same treatment. I said how unfair this was and nothing I do gets recognized regardless. Emily joined in and said she works hard and deserves to be recognized for that, and as the older sister, I should grow up and actually work for once if I want her success. I haven't spoken to Emily since then, and my parents are still annoyed at me for ruining the meal. Aita?
Personally, I think that she is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 5. Aita for being rude to my stepdaughter and banning her from eating with the family. I have 2 stepdaughters, Scarlett, 18, and Ava, 16. Scarlett is an amazing singer. She's been in some kind of voice lessons since she was 10 and just graduated from one of the best performing arts schools in the state, where she went on a full scholarship since 6th grade. She has a YouTube channel where she sings that she's starting to make money from and was accepted into some very prestigious music schools. Additionally, she's been working paid gigs for the last 2 years and makes at least $501,000 per week, more in the summers. She's even been the opening artist at a few concerts. I'm not trying to brag, I'm just saying she's an objectively good singer. Ava, on the other hand, is not a good singer. She likes to believe she is, and she might become one if she actually stuck with voice lessons or choir classes, but she always quits after 1, 2 weeks because they're bullying her, giving constructive feedback. I've seen the notes her classmates and teachers have given her. Ava also likes to sing very loudly and/or at bad times. For example, if she feels that we're too quiet at the dinner table, she starts to loudly sing. It doesn't sound good, and I honestly don't know how she doesn't hear it. If you ask her to stop, she keeps going, and if you're blunt and say stop, that doesn't sound good. We don't want to hear it. She keeps going and gets even louder just to annoy you. If we're in the car and we don't let her choose the songs, she'll loudly sing whatever she wants, not what's playing, to annoy us, and responds the same way to us telling her to stop. The only person she listens to is her dad. A few weeks ago we were trying to eat and she was singing again. I told her to stop and she refused, so I took her plate and told her from now on she is no longer allowed to eat at my table. She can eat in her room, the backyard, her car, the garage, wherever she wants, as long as we can't hear her from the dining room, and that this will continue until she can behave appropriately at the table. My husband and I argued about it, but he's not home for dinner, so there isn't much he can do about it. Today she was eating lunch with us and started singing again. I told her to stop and she didn't listen, so I again took her plate and told her to eat somewhere we can't hear her if she doesn't want to act appropriately. Ava argued that she's a better singer than Scarlett and that Scarlett sings all the time. I was done with her bullshit, so I asked her how many times someone other than her dad has actually asked her to sing, not even paying her to be there. Just ask her to sing, or how many performing arts schools she's gotten accepted to. She's applied to many. She started to cry, and my husband wants me to apologize for being rude to her and is insisting I allow her to eat with the family again. Aita?
In my view, she is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below. Subscribe for more interesting stories.